followed by a hall. And another hall, seemingly with an overflowing tender. Two more halls, this time at Lapworth. The second one is seen hauling Southern Region coaches. This is east of Basingstoke on the Southern Region. An Exeter-bound express is seen behind West Country 462, number 34108. (34108) was a rebuilt member of the class. 34054, Lord Beaverbrook, is seen in original unrebuilt condition. Introduced in 1947, these Ivor Class 4 260s were one of the last LMS designs. This one, number 43002, is seen speeding through Repton and Willington stations. And a few miles away on the former Great Central, a Stanier Class 5 460 locomotive, more often known as a Black 5, is seen departing north from Lutterworth. (60019), an A4 Pacific, was named Bilson and was a sister locomotive to the record-holding Mallards. Both have survived into preservation. Bilson is seen here at Crewe South, preparing to take out a special train. And here is that special train, passing through Uttoxeter. Perhaps one of the ugliest of locomotives was the Q1. Here we see one of the wartime built class on the Gosport branch. The engine was number 33024. And now a brief visit to the Longmore Military Railway in Hampshire. This now closed system was built essentially to train members of the Royal Engineers Regiment how to run a railway. Before it closed, it was used as the location for the filming of the Great St Trinian's train robbery. Open days became very popular, and steam lasted longer here than on the main BR system. Engine number 600, Gordon, was built in 1943 as number 73651, and in the late 1950s did some work on the main VR network. Today, Gordon is preserved at the Severn Valley Railway. Back to the main line. This is West Country class number 34041, leaving Southampton for Waterloo. And sister locomotive number 34034, Honiton, arriving from the east. Some more southern trains, this time near Brockenhurst. Firstly, we see 34037, Clovelly. was really a London Midland region locomotive, but several members of this 262 tank engine class found their way onto the southern region. Next we see Pacific number 34087, one of the class members known as Battle of Britain class. These were mainly named after RAF squadrons and aeroplanes. This one was called 145 Squadron. And finally, number 34093, another Bullet Light Pacific. Grey rig on the West Coast main line. A Black 5 reaches the summit of the gradient with this northbound freight train. And the tank engine, which has just banked it, arrives soon afterwards. Another Black 5, this time tender first. At Torbay, we see a BR Standard Class 7 Britannia locomotive on a passenger train. And Stanier 264 tank number 42154 is seen preparing to bank a heavy train over Shap. Another Britannia number 70022 is at the head of this train. This is York, And bullied Merchant Navy Pacific number 35007 has just arrived with a special from Birmingham. Further south on the East Coast Main Line, this is A4 Pacific number 6009, Union of South Africa, about to leave Peterborough for Newcastle. Here it is at Gateshead. L.N.W.R. 080s number 49430 and 49361 are seen briefly at Aldridge before taking this special train to Baddesley Colliery. Colliery eventually closed in 1988. Another special train, this is Stanier Pacific number 46245, City of London, leaving Birmingham Snow Hill Station. This engine was in tip-top condition when withdrawn from service in 1964. Although good for many thousand more miles, diesels and electrics meant that City of London was of no further use to British Railways. This is another Stanier design. The 460 Jubilee class were built from 1934 onwards, and 191 were constructed. This one is at Penny Compton. .61572 was a 1932 Gresley rebuild of an earlier Great Eastern design. It's seen here a long way from home at Stratford-on-Avon, having worked as special over the Stratford and Midland Junction Railway. Help in the rear was by courtesy of ex-Great Western 060 number 2211. City of London was the last Duchess to travel the West Coast Main Line. It's seen here northbound near Ansted. The line between Deptford Junction and Leicester West Bridge survived into the 1960s for freight only. 58148 was nearing the end of its working life when these shops were taken at Leicester. It was later replaced by a BR standard Class 2 locomotive with a specially cut down cab. Here it is at Glenfield. And Deptford Junction. Finally, the train arrives at its destination, Colwick. This Stanier 264 tank is seen at Worksop, having worked a train from Nottingham and Mansfield. The section of line between Nottingham and Mansfield is part of the recently reopened Robin Hood line. Here we see one of the numerous variations of the former Great Central 04 design of 280 locomotives. This one is fitted with the Gresley boiler. The 01 was a Thompson rebuild of the 04 and was fitted with Vulture valve gear. Another Thompson engine. This is a B1. And a totally original 04, dating back to 1911. This is a Gresley K1. All these shots were taken near Worksop. At Worksop, we see one of the Ministry of Supply wartime-built austerity 280 locomotives. Like prefabricated houses, they exceeded their estimated working life by many years. Colwick shed and another totally original 04. This is an Ivet 260 Class 4, sometimes known as a Flying Pig, and 63707 again. And this is a Gresley Class 02, a former Great Northern engine. Another Flying Pig, this time at Nottingham Victoria. This is one of the class which worked over the former M and GN line. And now we see some wintry shots near Kiverton Park. Firstly, we see a Thompson 460 B1 class locomotive, a design dating back to 1942. And another Thompson 01. This 264 tank seen at Nottingham is about to take a train to Mansfield and Worksop. Hambridge Road near Bishop's Itchington is between Banbury and Leamington. This 9F is heading north. As is the BR Standard Class 5. In the opposite direction, we see a Stanier Black 5. Some members of this class survived until the end of BR steam workings in 1968. Hatton Bank, and this standard class 9F struggles up the gradient towards Birmingham. The modified halls have a much easier task of going in the opposite direction. This class 9 is seen taking water at Banbury. But now, let's take a trip to the Isle of Wight. This is Ryde Station. Smallbrook Junction is where the line to L.N.E.R left the line to Newport and Cowes. Today, what is left of the Isle of Wight's railway system has been converted to third rail electric. Class 02-044 tanks used here dated back to 1889. Now some shots taken at Leamington Spa. Firstly, we see this Stanier Black 5 on a northbound freight train. The southbound passenger train is headed via Grain. Sadly, no granges were preserved. Followed by this Class 8F Stanier 280, hauling a mixed bag of wagons. Including this London Transport battery car. Finally, we see 80072 on another UP passenger service. This is another engine which has survived into preservation. Yet another locomotive to be preserved is 34051 Sir Winston Churchill, seen here south of Leamington Spa, emerging from Harbury Tunnel. Southam and Harbury station was a few hundred yards past the tunnel. A castle thunders by on an up express. Followed by a Class 56. The station and signal box have disappeared completely today. A light WD austerity passes on the down line. Former Great Western 060 number 2244 is seen on a single coach train as it leaves Chipping Camden on the Worcester to Oxford line. And Pioneer 9F number 9200 heads an Oxford to Worcester freight, the same location. .7029 Plum Castle was also on show that day. This locomotive became something of a celebrity and is still in good working order today in the mid-1990s. This is Rugby Midlands and another Austerity 280 locomotive. Followed by a Stanier 280 Class 8F on an up freight train. Still in Rugby, but this time south of Rugby Central Station. Two trains follow in quick succession. Both were heading north and both were hauled by 9F. A little closer to the station we see former L.N.E.R. V2 class locomotive number 60963 on a Dringhouses to Woodford House fitted freight train. Back at Rugby Midlands, you see two BR standard locomotives coupled together. At this particular time, the electrification, begun in the northwest, had yet to reach London, so electric traction was removed from trains at Rugby, and either diesels or electrics took over for the journey south. Number 7029 Plum Castle is seen here again, this time on an up express at Foss Road, south of Leamington Spa. Followed by an Austerity on a heavy freight train. And another, this time a little closer to Leamington Spa. And this was a Sunday. The line between Leamington Spa and Rugby has gone forever, but towards the end of steam it became very busy with diversions and special trains. This special is behind a U class and a Q1 class at Bilson. Yet again we see Clun Castle, this time climbing the famous Lickey Incline. And a Class 9F, hauling one of the numerous freight trains to use the line in those days. Another celebrity castle. This one is Pendennis Castle and is seen here at Chipping Camden. She ended her days in Australia. A Southern Region Bullied Pacific on the former LMS. This is 35026 near Anstey on the West Coast Main Line. Jubilee number 45697, Achilles, is seen here at Leeds, preparing to take a special train over the Settle line to Carlisle. At Carlisle, Achilles was replaced by 60528 Tudor Minstrel for the second part of the journey, which was over the Waverley route to Edinburgh. The Watercress or Mid-Hants line is privately owned today and attracts thousands of visitors each year. These shots were taken near Medstead Foremark in BR days. This is at Chandler's Ford. .30837, a Class S15, is seen at Eastleigh. In those days, the Mid-Hants line ran through to Winchester on the main line. Another Black 5 is seen light engine, leaving Rugby Central to the south. And now some shots taken south of Banbury Station. The Class 47 diesel being towed by the 9F is called Spore and still carries its original nameplate today in the 1990s, although its number has changed several times. BR standard 9Fs were a common sight at Banbury in the early 1960s. So were the Stanier Black 5. Black 5 number 44942 was reputed to be a notoriously bad steamer. However, it seems to be working well here as it leaves Banbury with this southbound passenger train. This is the 1018 Birmingham New Street to London Euston, arriving at Coventry Station behind Princess Royal number 46209 and departing from Rugby. Still at Rugby, this Stanier Class 8F280 is coupled up to one of the smaller Fowler tenders. And this is Royal Scot number 46135. This is an LMS 2602F. Although this locomotive looks like a rebuilt Royal Scot, it is in fact one of the two Jubilee class locomotives to be rebuilt with the larger, higher pressure boilers. The remaining 189 Jubilees look like this. And now, another trip to Banbury. Firstly, we see another southbound 9F. And a former G.W.R 72 class locomotive. The Kings were the largest passenger locomotive class built for the Great Western Railway, and certainly the most powerful 460s ever to run in Britain. And 6911 was named Holker Hall. 4112 was a 262 tank engine. The last hall ever to be built was number 7929. This northbound King is arriving at Banbury. Another King departs for the south. And these G.W.R 280s may have been nearly 60 years old, but they were still putting in some sterling work in the early 1960s. A G.W.R Mogul, another Hall, and one of the tiny 042 tanks of the 1400 class. Back at Coventry, and another Princess Royal arrives on the Birmingham Euston service. train is seen departing from Rugby. "45552 Silver Jubilee was the pioneer of the class and had raised numerals. Another Duchess, and Jubilee number 45722, which was named Defence. "49361, a former L.N.W.R. 0807F, is seen at Rugeley, running around its SLS special trains. The train ran all over the Midlands. It is seen here between Lichfield and Wight Junction. Another former L.N.W.R. locomotive. This is an 062 tank engine, number 58926. And is seen at Hensford. Back at Rugby, this is Britannia number 7005, leaving with a down express. Some more shots of Silver Jubilee. A Stanier 8F running light on the West Coast mainline near Brinklow. And another. Both engines were heading north. This Jubilee with a brake van was heading south. And this is one of the 1933 built Stanier moguls, of which a total of 40 were constructed. Only one, number 42968, has survived into preservation. We end Volume 1 with another look at Muscombe. The 9F is passed by a down express behind a Class 46 diesel. Another 9F. This one is busily scooping up a tender full of water. And finally, another one of Gresley's magnificent A4 Pacific. number 60021 Wild Swan heads for London King's Cross. 60021 was one of the first of the class to be withdrawn and sadly did not survive into preservation.